All right, so after reading chapter 6, the need for global equity in COVID 19 vaccines and treatments, this chapter was short and sweet, but is a very informational chapter. I will say this was probably my least favorite chapter of the book. Although it is a very interesting and informational chapter, it is also something that I'm not quite interested in reading, I guess. So, essentially, like, the chapter would talk about what happened to people in low income neighborhoods and countries when it came to the COVID 19 vaccination. So it says right here, as of December 2022, only 25.1% of people in low income countries had received at least one dose of a COVID 19 vaccination. Even with high rates of natural infection and subsequent immunity during the Omicron wave across the planet, receiving at least one dose of a COVID 19 vaccine, especially for older individuals, provides more durable and reliable hybrid immunity. Now, it talks about like the Delta surge. Now we know like the Delta variant and the Omicron variant were two of the most strongest variants when it came to COVID-19. It says right here that during the Delta surge, which was especially devastating in India and wealthy countries, including the United States, were debating whether COVID-19 vaccine patents should be waived, given the epic humanitarian crisis unfolding from the virus. The precedent for waiving patents in the contents of public health emergencies and the amazing real-world effectiveness of most COVID-19 vaccines against severe disease. Heartbreaking scenes from India in the spring of 2021, from overflowing hospitals turning away dying patients to Sanatorium prize burning all night, were actively playing out as this at the same time as debates on how fast wealthy countries with rapid vaccine rollouts would be getting back to normal life. So we know here in the United States that a lot of schools, for example, a lot of schools were pointing out that if you got the COVID-19 vaccination, then you didn't necessarily have to wear a mask in a public area if you're by yourself. I know that SVSU did that once you got your vaccination, and a lot of people got the vaccination out of that reason, I guess. And so, it kind of just like defeats the purpose of why the vaccine is so important, especially for people who have autoimmune diseases who actually needed the vaccine in order to not catch COVID. So I guess another thing that like surprised me or like stood out was this right here. Excuse me. On March 30th, 2022, the WHO issued a roadmap for moving on from the emergency phase of the pandemic. It put forth 3 different possible scenarios in terms of the need for ongoing booster vaccines. 1, a baseline scenario, so during the Omicron era, in which vulnerable populations such as the immunocompromised and older individuals would need to be boosted every winter. 2, a best case scenario, if a less virulent variant emerges, in which most people will not need a booster. And 3, a worst case scenario, in which everyone who is eligible will need a booster vaccination. I think if we, especially if we're working in the healthcare field, it's very important to have vaccinations. And even us who are in public health and are dealing with this kind of thing every single day, it's important that we know the information to pass on to other people. And then another thing that, like, I guess a very like important quote that like stuck out to me was, therefore older people and immunocompromised people will benefit from boosters during times of high viral circulation, which is likely to be in the winter. As COVID-19 settles into a pattern more common with other respiratory pathogens such as colds and flu, in these individuals, a booster provides an immediate initial surge of antibodies, which is helpful because B cells exposed to a pathogen typically that take 2 to 4 days to make neutralizing antibodies. And in people who are more susceptible to severe diseases, this may be too long to wait. At some point, the United States will also need to clarify the goals of our booster strategy. If the aim is to prevent severe disease, as has been articulated by other countries and endorsed by the WHO, we likely will only be given regular boosters to older and immunocompromised individuals.